Hey, welcome everybody to Poets House. It's really wonderful to have you here. In case it's your first visit, we are primarily a library, but we're also sort of a community center. There are almost 100,000 volumes, roughly, give or take, here in this library. They're free to browse. You don't have to pay a membership fee. You don't have to do anything elaborate. All you have to do is come, bring yourself, enjoy poetry, explore upstairs. We have a beautiful archive people can look at by appointment, a beautiful exhibition room. There's so much to explore. Is there anything else I should really hit about Poets House, Rob? Oh, of course. That's what I do. So youth programs are, if you know youth in the city, that and youth is an expansive term here, right? Like I work with babies all the way up through college kids. So if you have any young people in your world who you'd like to try to connect to Poets House's various youth workshops, resources, please talk to me about it. I have copies of my business card available. We have a summer camp that's going to happen for teens this summer. So hopefully that will help with our general social project of making sure as many of them are queer as possible. Thank you, yes. Okay, cool. We also have adult workshops, many classes, many opportunities to get involved with Poets House. We really prize accessibility. If you see any particular Poets House program and you see a price tag on that program that doesn't make sense for you, you should talk to us about it. We can probably, if it's a space where you want to be, you should be there, and we'd like to help you make that happen. We just say yes. That's, you know when Oprah had her year of yes? Like, that's us. Okay. So, Kat's really excited. So first, in our, almost as excited as me. First, in our evening tonight, I'd like to introduce Chariot Wish. Yes. The last time that I introduced a room of trans poets at Poets House, I decided what I would do is say where I had met everyone and how I had met everyone, and it turned out to be even more fun than I realized. And then I thought, should I do that tonight? And then I thought, oh yeah, I met our first poet of this evening, Chariot Wish, at the Standard Hotel. Some weeks prior, I had received an unusual communique from the desk of poet and essayist Oyster Kim, who was thanked in the acknowledgments of the book we celebrate today, P.E.A.C.E. I was invited, Oyster informed me, to a white party at the Standard Hotel. Make sure to wear all white. That's the dress code. So I did. So did Chariot Wish, who I met almost at once, standing on a very fluffy and utterly unstained piece of white carpeting. I didn't know too many people, and Chariot was one of those smilers that made it all right not to. Their brightness showed itself immediately in the good humor with which they took, having been pranked into wearing white at what turned out to be a surprise wedding. This is the kind of brightness, I might say, that might give a transsexual the propensity to write about Christ. Something Chariot does really beautifully in this book. Having scandalized a full room of people with elaborate manners and strong opinions on what clothing to wear when, the married couple promptly announced that they were moving to Jakarta. The feeling that you have under a circumstance like that in an all-white suite at the Standard Hotel, having just read a poem, having just met a wonderful poet. That feeling of sort of shock and strange joy is a feeling that I have immersed in the pages of this book. It's sort of a document of and a roadmap to a world of unlicensed pleasure philosophers. Once at a funeral, I saw Robert Gluck take off his cargo vest. Can Gluck's high mysticism and higher theory find a home alongside James Schuyler's lightness and James Schuyler's heaviness, the despair that would finally kill him? As Chariot Wish would have it, yes. To maintain a mysticism, I protect the thick skin of reality. We are very lucky to have Chariot with us here tonight. Please welcome him. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, everybody. A fun fact about I actually officiated that wedding. So I knew that it was a secret wedding. Yeah. What I didn't know is that actually some of us were invited for the ceremony, but then the couple only let me in the room. So they sequestered all, like me, I was just with me, us in the room alone. It was a bizarre situation. Okay. When I was making the set for tonight, I realized I accidentally front-loaded all of it with poems about fellatio. So here we go. The first poem is called Not Peace But a Sword. Threaded in the morning, couldn't move from the bed, sucking dick half-heartedly. For 2 hours, everyone existed within a world I wasn't a part of. Couldn't stop calling to be like, can't talk to you. Read about Jesus's tight asshole. Made me wet and jealous. I wasn't the first person to finger the brown rose. Never felt religious ecstasy while fucking. Weep terribly, cry even harder. Golden revolver, do the thing. Really want to suck dick. Maybe find myself under the weight of the Son of God. Write a map to a cunt you didn't know was there. Focused on your white t-shirt. Edge of the collar, revealing a chest. Broke eating duck breast in an opulent restaurant. In Lamonte Young's dream house, talked about public sucking, private ownership. Tongue fucking is an expression of life's excitement. Ride me all the way out. Thank you. This one's called What I Want Is All Out War. Reaching over his waist for the fly of his jeans, tangerine unpeeled, 4 moons cut and halved. There is no planet Earth, just a fat, wet ball hanging between 2 holes. Take the nightingale, feel the hot part of him in my hand. We were talking about the tradition of communists in Italy. He said, yeah, but the fascists still won. I said, God isn't here anymore. Later, he lifted my cunt to his tongue, had me spit in his mouth while I jerked off over him. This is all I know how to do anymore. I take it seriously. There is no earth, a swollen, sinking spirit. Thank you. This one's called God Star. A great wind was at my back as I climbed up the stairs. I imagine now that we share the same mouth. When I'm sucking cock, it's your tongue guiding me up the nodes of skin. Everything I taste now, you taste too. As if there are multiple worlds transposed. A net over the singularity of my vision. My throat a doorway for you to enter through. Our friends could let me wrap my lips around their ear, like a conch shell. What they would hear would be the slow pulsing of your breath, a heartbeat knocking back. When I saw your face and nothing was left but your face, we flowered into a wound marked upon the world of the living. This one's called Cool My Eyes. In the between months I was not there, the burnt $5 bill stayed on the bookshelf. There was a postcard that was a picture of nothing, laminated black marked LA at night. You were away, I was sleeping on the couch. I wanted constantly to know where you came from. You were so beautiful driving home soaking wet. Okay, I was trying to be drawn in, like going toward what I want rather than letting it come to me, the dark chest of your cunt. I wanted to be fucking in a way that left no trace of the self in the action. The bathtub mist in the dark. I can't stop being in my life. But that's not what the poem is about. And this one's called Intelligent Dance Music. Moon is huge tonight, petrichor the wet god rail. I have this feeling it's moving its tongue or hair wrapped around my silly neck. The train worms its way through the bridge. Stupid fog machine won't stop blasting fog. You can't talk like that because you weren't there when the oceans were created. Okay, yes, I was. How about you give me my turn to rip my head off its shoulders, throw it like a pumpkin from the highest tower of the castle. If heaven is belief in the future, then tell me which line to cross to no longer be a virgin. Like where is it hidden in the circle of your breath? I'm falling ill with some incurable beat, while a maiden sticks her fingers into the gash underneath my nipple in the shape of a star. Thank you. Yeah. They have my book for sale out there, which is really awesome. I had to borrow this copy because I ran out of copies and I gave mine away to my friend. I'm going to read some newer poems too. This one's called Something Inside You. I should have saved the money, but I spent it. The light of reason self-extinguished, wounded in my sex, something inside me could not. And this one's called Princess Cake. It's about getting a ticket in London for throwing my cigarette butt on the ground. What if we didn't need a word for what we already know? The embodiment of the poet is the point. What exactly is a banana tree doing in England and trapped? I thought he was going to take me into the conservatory to smoke a cigarette. Is that allowed? Those plants make me depressed. If we have to live in this world, shouldn't it be fun? Hadn't I been good? What else could I have done? Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna read two more. This one's called I Wanted. So the microphone keeps like, it's like half, whatever. It's like doubling. What? No, okay. It's good. Veronica took the cloth from the well. I saw her in the museum, organ of cloth pressed, the delicate face of the material world. I wanted to be a magician, leave the ashen city of this failed nation, and its rubies and sapphires, other gemstones of rare qualities, ripped from its tendons. I wanted to uncover the eyes of my words so they could see I was entertained, to be left alone in the violence and sex, away from the embarrassment and the upper air of my language. I had a palatial disappointment. Her hand in its sheepish gestures towards my own. I wanted to make something from a skin that was like that, maiden gestures so seemingly small. It was all so obvious the entire time, an unhinged door. I wanted to make something in the bag of my heart, to hold myself open in raw desperation. I wanted to make something different with this life, gorgeousness of solitude, the perpetual brokenheartedness of light emanating, like the painting of the shoes was a painter in his pure contract with the very god of this earth. I thought I could fuck myself with, it was all that was there, the spoon in the stateroom. It sort of made sense as we watched the men in the water. All there was to do was to watch the men. All there was for them to do was to be in the water and watched. I really felt like every beautiful thing is just beautiful. The world looks like the world. I was trying to understand this as the names lay over me like a wire. Thank you. Okay, this is my last one, and it's for Fist. It's called Jubilee. How do you suggest I live? My lapse, my ruby, my moon out of sky, my heather on the cliff, my dog-eared metropolis, my Hollywood, retracted light. I was wondering where you were, my soul, in exile, my 40 days, my Sharona. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chariot. That was wonderful. All right. So, next on our lineup, we have Kaur Alia Ahmed, who is a writer that I was introduced to like in depth through this reading, and it's wonderful to have the opportunity to like dive into work that way. His poems often look like tattoos that I would find on the body of someone whose body I might find in Bushwick, maybe near Ridgewood, maybe in private, maybe in public, maybe in some sort of combination of both. The frank visuality of this work combines with repetition and these kind of like layerings, the poems almost functioning as translations of one another, which is something that you bring up in your poetry project interview in a really interesting way. And it makes sense, therefore, that you work in different media. Some of them visual, some of them almost like sculptural and stuff. And I think that that's crazy and fantastic. There is an intense lushness to this kind of multimedia repetition and translation, where language travels through so many different permutations on its way to a beautiful series of forms and formlessnesses. And in fact, it rather puts me in mind of a garden. In a recent poetry project interview with fellow Noteboat author Rosie Stockton, Kaur spoke about thinking about desire and lushness and what we think we want, a place where anything is possible or surpasses earthly logic. I was also interested in the etymology of the word paradise. The word comes from an old Persian term which means walled enclosure or garden surrounded by walls, used to describe the gardens of royalty, or the Garden of Eden, a place for righteous souls, a space of bliss. And in the interview, Kaur goes on to talk about wanting to challenge righteousness and enclosure, trying to like think about these things like that we can have a space where we say that this is a special place and we bring beautiful things into it and we take moments for beauty to value it. And also to say that that kind of specialness does not involve a kind of setting apart, but rather is a space into which anyone might enter. And that reminds me of Poets House, and it also reminds me of our founder's garden. When I first mentioned Poets House to my psychoanalyst, um, uh, he was my psychoanalyst is like a sweet old faggot who used to live in Provincetown, and where he still does. And he was like, "Oh yeah, Stanley's garden." Everyone knew that Stanley Kunitz had like the most beautiful garden in Provincetown, and that everyone could come by and sort of appreciate it. He loved it. If you were just even if you were just like walking by, he wouldn't mind if you sort of like went and stared at the garden for a while. And that was what I was put in mind of looking at Kaur Alia Ahmed's poems this fine week, and I'm very pleased to introduce Kaur Alia Ahmed to you now. Please welcome to the stage Kaur Alia Ahmed. Yes.
I want this down. That was so nice. Thank you. I like how you talk. I'm going to figure this out, and I'm going to read some kind of thoughts from my phone, and then I'll read from my book. Actually, I'll read a poem first, and then we'll see. Okay. People look for meaning, spirituality, and guidance in a myriad of ways, and some of these attempts are obviously fulfilling while others are not. Why does it make some of us so uncomfortable when people try to reconstruct a European indigeneity? People be trying to make sense of history through anthropology. I'm at the Sniffies party, slipping my tiny body in between sweating rectangles in Myrtle Broadway, Bushwick, and observing the ecosystem the gays have built in their backyard. I'm doing low-key ethnographic study, and I don't want to be thrusting, but that's the way things are moving behind and in front of me. It's just wee-woo back and forth, I guess, but then the cops show up, the alarm is real. I'm going to kill myself laughing about how I could die or be deported because I'm trapped in the rectangles. It's all just we are going to die or be deported because we are trapped in the rectangles. Today on Instagram, I heard that Miss Rona Sugar Love got out of prison. I met Rona 10 years ago when H helped her prepare for her parole interview. Laying in H's bed, bright light through the curtains on a Sunday, not really needing to do sex. So much of Rona's art on H's walls is the best art I've ever known. This makes me like her more and trust her more, H, which I could look into. Today I know the helpful girl won't use the trust to pay my boyfriend to star in her feature film about unionizing gay people. Okay. Woo! Poem now. Do boundaries matter in the atmosphere? I got plopped here in the tallest grasses and the weirdest fruit, and the authorities demand that I bend over and body it, but I'm distracted, and my legs feel lost, and I feel deconstructed, or I unravel, closing my eyes to a silhouette tall before me. When the mud is close enough, when my finger can hold enough, I swallow it, open space, and walk through other side, to a chorus, a green marble, my good thieves, Urdu or the first language we spoke after my mom's milk. They sit around me behind voice, and I pee into a hole in the earth. The first hymn, Wedding Dust, I split. Okay. No more phone. Thank you. I haven't looked at this in so long. So it's funny. These little words that I wrote. What should I do? Okay. I am perched at a bus stop where 5111-23 will not respond, nonchalant, and I take time to sip the air of pause and calculate my own game of monotony. Finding stark faith amongst the youth at play, pushing pain, never receiving. Our new friend asks if I'm a power sub. I yell no. Sand coats the motion of my most tender channel of adrenaline. Must romance only jolt into the frame in bursts, only stand under golden light? The right edge of your cheek, saturated peach cocktail, suddenly vibrant and hard inside styrofoam, deeply dappled contrast. A cup, dependent on crumbles, dependent on the hug of dots. We depend heavily on gas for motion, for rest, for love, laughter. In actuality, nothing solid has ever supported me. To weigh heavily on something is to decide its shape. Seal soup in Pyrex and silicone decides its only purpose is to be reportioned, reheated to get dizzy and bland. I like to imagine how expansive and free-limbed my soup could be if poured upon the floor of a yoga studio. Crimson, fatty droplets pinching into each other. Bay leaves, charred chilies, butter beans, beets, peppercorns, ground beef. Rolling freely, playing as if I created my own tasty aquatic society. Saltwater, full-bodied, eventually seeping into the edges of the mirrored walls, astonishingly infinite. The ultimate stretch, liquid, the Kundalini champion. I read a wise thing, desire always exceeds any container. I can just never find the matching lids. A hopeful part of me believes in the validity of hypocrisy. It's hard to say those words. Today, my coworker described the life of a white man as a genre. I wonder what nonfiction looks like through light-colored contacts. Behavior listed as a medical issue on the children's health form, something contagious. At times, I feel proud to experience bouts of mania, like anything is possible. Music becomes perplexingly close. My sideburns furrow, flows in my wrist, rip from the minute my surroundings weep. A pale orange evening, bracketing your cheeks with my wet eyes. Pillow, pillar, plucking my velour string of longing. Bent grapes, sleeping grapes, resting plums, snoring blueberries. Sleeping blueberries, resting grapes, snoring plums, sleeping bumbleberries. A lance in my side, bleeding. A number for a mouth, never doubling over. What would I want wings for? At this point of sight, there's a nervous wind tower, unmoving, purpose planted in clay. Looking at it through a clear, engraved clock face, no hands. Pale breaths, chronology begins to loosen up. There's a fissure. A wall, formerly matte gray, is coated in high-gloss resin, its core erased by unfolding. Some inert room takes print of what it faces. Frills ironed on the cotton setting, pressed out. Standing on the exact same spot at the exact same time. Radar intentions. Which pulse tightens around the waist? Among everyone on the dance floor, someone dripped the ends of their full-bodied movement into the crook of my neck. Spinning yells, a field on angle, sharp plastic, blood on lips, the flaming rock, my echo of your gushing love words to me. In this thick weather, all droplets are rendered the same, my disbelief protected by the flattening. Feet without shoes, soaking, the floor's ice of summer. All matter in seconds. Pine needles sprout from my fingertips. A thin gauze grows over low limbs. My vision is semi-colors. Maybe when you fell out of it, fissure, recalibrated chatter, failed airplane, hemorrhage, sweat in the eyes, kink and self-hatred were image. Thank you. I need water. Okay. Can't do that. Okay. Truth in the netted connection of Velcro. Trip, a lusher look, rip and parse faith. Tongue makes loose claims on conditions of hydration and nebula of the day. Belief that vibrates at the second look of my outstretched palms, locus behind eyes in a pulley cycle of coaxing. The strings of dusk visible and plucked by the other senses. Something mistaken for something. There's a wobble in the moon's orbit. Don't want to move on, let it all come in. Take me in as though you'd chew the seeds before hesitance. Encircling a bowl. Butterfly the eclipse. A flexible tract, signal a likely structure. Insist you consider this moment once more at a later time. Order the color and passion, a rasa unique to the raga in question. Delude me better. Honey, do not forget, and play the moment as a freed engraving. Skate webs of needles on euphony. They could say, the risk of your eye-laden mouth, the fluke of your drifting thigh, more alluring, more exquisite than potent thunder giving side to rigid rock. Observers at a loss in midst of sharpened petals, their mother's song nudged into improper hands. Or was there the wrong vegetable at the one stand? Someone with ears for it, I want to know the little ones can counter. Awash with my wrist at your chin, nudge your sight to my lips part on you. Away from my fingers, stained sun by dal and rice. Been dangling the same kind of exigent wonder in the wash of pollen, in suckling the warming spices, allium, sweat, and slip around the corner of koi, behind the knee, a slicked lust column. My hands make mouthfuls, grains of rice, slightly lower head sideways, the spoon pouts for attention. With much exuberance, the pain, a close light runs to the joy. Sound the buttered bell, a jagged peel, feet in and out like the ground is hot and exciting. Or are you supposed to hear this? Too curious to clip motion. Can't bear to, couldn't bear to, won't bear not to. There's more. Just taking a breath. Giggle game. Match on the left side and missing from the sight side. I'm cool with it complete, supposing I'm cool with the air putting us in sight. In the meantime, one maybe won't be able to keep ledge of it at all, yet wish to glimpse the raving clouds at their last supple dance. She said we might find the chanterelles closer to the maid road. Make spores of awe. We could purse, sweat, bait landscape, make miniature sanctity. Sad carcass and sarcasm. Tools to spin, spit like it could share itself as fabric. Sardonic surprise, mistake membrane, truth plume, eager to stumble, diving off the edge. The new doja is wavy, is bumpin', is making me want to dance in a space, simply see each other happy. Is making me swoon tears at every regular shake of branches in the sky. Sim, a sphere, cornered by hungering proteins, washing time. Bloom type speak. Myriad encounters of the bud. Actually could thicken the tail and hold my hands behind my back, really expecting to feel something there. A lace of fur, a lace up of fur and muscle. Enlightened, mentally stable, I refuse a definable state. Rekindle as plastic carnage, mirror rust. I think that's it.
Wow, thank you. That was really fab. That was real. Yay. Okay, yay. Great. Well, here's the thing, though, guys. Here's the thing. Wait for it. I've got something to say. What can I say about Cat Fitzpatrick? Frankly, she's a problem. I'd say she's a menace. Her pernicious influence on the New York literary scene has gone on for too long, and I have gathered you here tonight to stop her. Ladies, gentlemen, and other abject targets of moral panic, if we don't get her now, we may as well lose hope. To drop the bit a little bit, Kat, I would like to take the opportunity tonight to tell you that I'm very grateful for you. I met you when I was barely out of childhood, 10 years ago. I don't either.
No idea.
I just remember the cover of your book on which you are sprawled, your first book, LittlePuss, on which you are, is that you?
That's me.
You are sprawled on a giant inflatable flamingo.
Yes, I'm wet.
Yes.
I thought I could jump onto the flamingo without falling into the water, but it turns out that was not the
That was not true. You could not jump onto the flamingo quite the way you had planned. I was in the middle of a literary scene of striking beauty and sometimes striking horror, none of which there's any need to recapitulate. But your ability to hold a center of hospitality and bad behavior is utterly crucial and has like made my life possible and good and surreal and beautiful in so many ways. Living on a surreal, beautiful dead-end street that really looks like it's when all the nannies line up at the beginning of Mary Poppins and they're trying to get the job. Kat and I live on that street, and Kat is the reason that I'm able to live on that street, so that's really nice. It's a strikingly straightforward metaphor, Kat's home is, for the relationship that many transsexual writers of my vintage have to Kat. The epic legendary parters that she throws, the tightly metrical, socially astute observations contained in her narrative writing or non-narrative writing sometimes. The acrobatically humorous and educative nature of her conversation, whether she's discussing the untranslatability of French poetry, the appropriate price to pay for beluga, or the nature of her dog Dot's extremely specific smell-related abilities. The things that Kat gives you to taste and smell and swallow while you're in her house or in her presence. Kat, all of this has given so many trans writers a chance to be at the dinner party of life, so please buy Kat's book, The Dinner Party. It's really like, it will just knock you on your little butt. And if you've ever been in a situation where one trans person was like, that other trans person is evil, I have the prescription for you. You need to read The Call Out by Kat Fitzpatrick. I'm telling you. Don't have a really weird long argument over text. Just send them a copy of The Call Out by Kat Fitzpatrick. Okay, Kat, welcome her to the stage, please. Woo!
Hello, everybody. Hi, nerds. I don't need a microphone. I'm lazy. I don't need a microphone. You can hear me, right? Oh, you need it for the... Oh, but that's... I hate microphones. Okay, I'll try. Okay, hi, everybody. What a beautiful crowd you are. Hello, everyone. I'm Kat. I got a book out. Yeah. It's called The Dinner Party, a book about love. I would say it's about love. There's 5 sections, and they're from quite a long space of time. The oldest things in the book I wrote about 20 years ago. Because I am fucking ancient, and the newest ones more recently. So what I was thinking is, I'm mostly going to read from the title poem, The Dinner Party, which is the most recent of them, which I was writing kind of in the aftermath of the pandemic a couple of years ago, which is sort of a kind of pastiche of the Symposium, but also of the Earl of Rochester's time, and it rhymes. And I'm just probably going to dive straight into it. I'm not going to read you the whole thing. I'm going to skip around a bit, but I'm going to start at the beginning, so it hopefully should be self-explanatory. The Rona being now at last abated. Or so I thought. In fact, the plague was not quite gone, but biding time. I went and got it in my head that by this point I waited for long enough, and that I should invite some friends, acquaintances, and even 1 or 2 newfound unknowns who seemed like fun to come around my house one Friday night where I would open for them fancy wine that they would drink but not appreciate and see what kind of food I could create, and generally, in short, we all would dine together as we had in days gone by. I asked Rakshasi, clad in black, so thin, so eager for some trouble to get in, of any kind, and Sophie, blunt and dry, who often ended up the night so pissed she'd trip and fall when climbing up the stairs, and learned Bridget, sweet, beset by cares, who always talks about her therapist. My besties. Plus, I asked along a pair of masks. Adonis, such a charming youth, more interested in beauty than in truth, who drives a motorbike and braids his hair. And Dominic, less young, but full of poise, a trickster with a most provoking grin, more pleased with contradiction than with sin, and even more with argument than boys. And then 2 younger dolls. The stern Camille, so clear and fresh in docks and mini dress, one whom the goddess has seen fit to bless with cold lucidity, but not with chill. And goofy Esperanza, keen to please and prone to post too much online and talk too much at parties. Femme, but such a dork. I chose the guests. I picked out each of these transsexuals with care. A balanced 8, I thought. I made a vichyssoise to start, then vegan cassoulet, then lemon tart. Because they're queers, I guessed they'd all be late. So that's the intro, and I'm going to skip a little bit ahead. So they start arguing about love, and Adonis kind of gives this theory of love, that love is about what people's desire for you makes you seem in their eyes, that what you look for is who you seem to be to them, and kind of gives this whole speech, and also about like how good his grinder game is. But I'm going to kind of skip to the end of his speech. He's just kind of given his peroration. He's made his little speech. And they've had soup and fizzy wine. He sips his fizz. He's left near half his soup. Okay, Camille objects. But that's not love, that's sex. If you've fucked someone else above like 7 times, if you've like heard them poop or smelt their stinky breath, if you've begun to stay at theirs or they've moved in with you. Oh girl, Adonis laughs, I never do the morning after. Mornings are no fun. Well, yes, Camille insists, but that's the key. Not fun, it's work. You work at getting good at understanding, being understood. I think that love is practicing to be adaptable, forgiving, present, fair, and open. Like you have to take on board their interests and opinions and accord them your respect and read your way through their important books. And movies. Try to learn about... You do? Adonis asks. What for? Well, 1, you're curious to find out more, but 2, because you hope that they in turn will try to know you back. For being known, I guess. I mean, I think that that's the aim. This is our only life. It's not a game, and I don't want to spend it all alone. I want a partner that I know and like, with whom I share the deepest truth of me. Oh, look, Adonis crows, we do agree. The only difference is you're such a dyke and you want drama. All I want is lust. But still, the thing you love, what you pursue, is what this interaction makes of you. Camille gives him a look of deep disgust. Oh, yeah, dykes would always rather talk than shag, says Esperanza. Like, I kind of wish that I was straighter and, you know, more fish to fuck some dudes. You're lucky you're a fag. So I'm going to skip ahead again a little bit. More people come in, other people give many opinions. Everyone has an opinion about love, Jesus Christ. There's 8 of them, they all have opinions. The dinner finishes, they get progressively drunker. Bridget gives the opinion that love is about like giving away your selfhood and getting nothing in return, as if you were a hermit crab who gives up its shell to another hermit crab. And I'm going to pick up just after the end of Bridget's speech when Adonis is interrupting her. That sounds insane to me, but you do you, Adonis laughs. It is insane, for sure, says Bridget. That's what makes it right and pure. Like, love is crazy. Yeah, well, that part's true, says Sophie. So then, cheers to being nuts. And presently the muscatels no more. I serve Amaro and some petit four and gently hint that they should move their butts back to the comfy chairs. And then I set out whiskey, brandy, gin, and more red wine. Less good, of course, but still completely fine, and play la belle. We all proceed to get quite drunk indeed, and talk of who knows what, of zines, of rising rents, of vegan shoes, of recent memes and of depressing news, of how the winter's cold, the summer's hot, who's dating who. Then at a certain point, I noticed something really quite bizarre. That Esperanza and Adonis are engaged together in a certain joint endeavor. Namely, they've begun to kiss. I turn to Sophie, who's discussing freight disruptions, grab her arm and indicate the snogging pair. Hey, whoa, she says, what's this? Aren't you both gay? She laughs, like, this is het. I'm shocked, I murmur, shocked to find. Well, yeah, Adonis says. I said I didn't mind who gives the adoration that I get. Oh, no, you don't, says Esperanza. He was doing some adoring of his own just now. He's all, let's sneak upstairs and bone. But then he tries to put the blame for it on me. Okay, says Sophie. Sure. But look, he's set a theory out at least. Oh, so you want mine, says Esperanza. Love, what is it? Fine. Yeah, I have answers. Love is when it's wet inside your glass, but in your arse it's dry. I think. Or maybe it's the other way around. Love. Oh, love is hashtag gay, but as a slur. The kind that makes you cry when you're like 5. Okay, no, wait, that's wrong. So, love is something that I've never known. So what if it's when you forgive your own deficiencies, the faults you bring along to every hookup, which, you must admit, the other person isn't going to let get in their way, but which you can't forget? If you could be like, they can deal with it. It's not my problem what my problems are. That would be love. Like, lol, lamau. That's never going to happen, is it now? Adonis, do you want to call a car? I think we should be heading to my place. They're going to know now if we sneak upstairs. Well, we could take my bike, he says. She stares at him. He makes an effort to outface her, but it's hopeless. Fine, I'll get a lift. So that's the end of that one. That's all I'm reading you of that one. There's quite a lot of it. There are many arguments. I'm going to read 2 more shorter things. One is, I'm going to read a new poem. Since this book came out and I've been touring it around, and I found myself for the first time in quite a long time writing a couple of like standalone short poems. This one, so I have these like poet friends who are always fucking writing about their dreams because they're like Freudians or whatever. And I'm like, that's boring. Nobody cares about your dreams. Shut up. But then I had a dream and I was like, fuck, I've got to write about this dream. So this is a short poem about a dream. It's written in terza rima, and the way it's structured is that the off rhyme of the final stanza is the on rhyme of the first stanza, so it kind of goes in a circle, and actually the first line can follow from the last line. So it's like a little temporal pocket dimension. You go into it, and it just kind of circles around and goes nowhere. Time is in a loop in this dimension. It is called A Meeting with the Goddess Chaos. A dream, of course. But like, I must concede, if you were choosing me a deity, then chaos is the goddess that you'd need. Although I wouldn't worship her. She'd be contemptuous of that, I would assume. I knock. I hear her calling down to me. The door's unlocked. Come up. I'm in my room. I open it and clamber up the stair. She's still in bed. A woman with a broom is cleaning up her mess. Turns out I'm there to intercede for some young man I know. She's sympathetic, seems to really care. She says, "It's hard with ones like this one, though. I could transform his soul." I frown. But who would he be then? She blinks. A boy? And so I realize. And I say, I guess to you we seem to live and die at quite a speed. She laughs and wrinkles up her nose. You do. And then I'm going to finish up with just one from one of the other sections in this book. So there's like 5 sections. There's the one I read you at the dinner party, which is transsexuals getting drunk and arguing about love. There is a section about a young idiot who goes camping and pretends she's in Arcadia because nobody will date her on the lesbian dating apps. There is a section called Baby Book, which is about trying to have a baby and getting old. And there is a long poem called Letter to Crabstick that is about kind of platonic love and being unemployed and depressed. And then there are the uxorious sonnets. Uxorious means like wife guy. Wife guy sonnets. So I'm just going to read, and I was kind of thinking, I was thinking about like how all the sonnet sequences are too long. So it's a short sonnet sequence. It's only like 8 sonnets long. What a relief. Who needs more than 8 fucking sonnets? Anyway, and this is the first one. I was thinking about like Barnfield's Certain Sonnets, if anyone's read Barnfield's Certain Sonnets. Definitely the best like Elizabethan or Jacobean sonnet sequence. It is both only 20 sonnets long and the gayest of all of them. I recommend Barnfield's Certain Sonnets to all of you. So this is number 1 of my uxorious sonnets. The god of love, as everyone complains, is tricksy, vicious, makes you act the fool, or drives you wild with arrows, smites, and pains. We've read the poems. They got taught in school. They're right. I know, since I'm a lover too. I am transfixed and pierced and whipped and burned, lit up, consumed, the whole thesaurus through, not suffering or jealous, sad or spurned, but through a love of most uxorious kind. We live together, have a decade now. We cook, we wear pajamas as we plod around the house. We walk the We find the time to kiss and have the odd small row. And this is love. In all of this, the God. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kat. That was really, really, truly lovely. And it is my distinct pleasure now to segue into introducing a writer who I met in Kat's home. In fact, in Kat's basement. And because we're in my place of work, I'm not going to say what I was doing in Kat's basement, but Gwen was making zines. And the zine was called Little Caesars Sponsors Shemale Youth Workshops. Anyone who knows me at all knows that means that I was instantly in love. Gwen is a wizard of the Grant, of the Camlet Con, of the fairy gathering, of the local burn, of the beer store. Wherever I have seen her wander, she finds beautiful girls and does incredible bits. Her punk guest etiquette is immaculate. Her hairdo is weirdly both very complex and very simple. It is true. And since it seems like there's some people in the room who probably haven't heard the story that I recently heard our beloved Athena tell recently about meeting Gwen and sort of bringing her into the literary community that some of my friends here occupy, I'd like to retell it. Athena, you were living in a small town, where you didn't necessarily know a whole ton of trans people there, or a whole ton of writers, and you were at an open mic, and you were sitting, doing your own thing, kind of nursing your beer, and you heard a poet, and you looked up because you were like, wow, that girl is cooking with gas, that girl's really good. And then you were met with the delightful news that girl was also a doll. And I think that's such a beautiful moment to have that recognition, and then to have that person become your friend, and to publish her lovely book on your fabulous press. Please check out all of the books from LittlePuss Press. They are just fantastic. And please join the the ladies of LittlePuss for their summer salon.
Day after tomorrow.
Day after tomorrow. At Rubalot. It's going to be fabulous. 389 Melrose in Brooklyn.
Come get drunk with us.
Come get drunk with them. All right, and I will now welcome Gwen, or not, just fellowship, just hang, just enjoy art. And now introducing Gwen Aube.
Gwen!
Hi. There's like a little kid section and they had hats, so I stole one of the hats. My name's Gwen. I'm from Canada. I'm originally from a place called Windsor. It's across from Detroit, but now I live on couches in a lot of places, sometimes Montreal. But I was staying at the house of this old Canadian poet named Al Purdy. He talks like Yogi Bear, and he like got drunk a lot and built a house, and I got to stay in it. And so I'm gonna start reading a poem about being in his house, and then read you some poems from my book. So this is called, I think it's just called At Al's or something. Yeah, that's it. All right. I arrive in Ameliasburg already sick of trees, having had my heart broken in Liberty, Tennessee, and unprepared for another month so far from Montreal. A local board member comes to the A-frame to welcome me. I expect some wide old ancestor with costly binoculars, so it's some funny surprise when I get a young blonde guy in jeans and tweed jacket, eager to talk about Yarvin, Teal, Vance, veering into Marx and Bataille, cracking brain rot jokes, asking me sweetly about Bifo Berardi, as if, anticipating nuclear winter, all the little villages have huddled up into the great cosmopolitan tits of the world for warmth. To dissuade this thought, he's brought a gift. A cedar bowl with my name engraved on its underside, carved from the wood of Al's yard. A lonely firefly still fights the pollution of light, hanging about itself a holy dark. No shortage of bugs either. All month's orgies of gnats gather on the porch door to let themselves in behind me, then politely kill themselves in the bathtub. One night, 2 stupid beetles get in. I use Urith's, it's Al's wife, Urith's loveliest mugs to trap them. Like the penitent thief, one goes free, but the whole thing gets me shrieky enough I forget the other one. 3 forlorn days pass before I roll aside his tomb to find an upturned paper stomach. The moon gets full and empties again. As night after night, I sit with the soft hiss of my vape, the one I brought back from America, bought in Kentucky, which calls itself hauntingly Artery. Occasionally, a gargling house cat comments on this from a distance. Cricket song echoes on the water like violins. Coyotes make flimsy the promise of dog's love. A train mourns in Belleville. A helicopter flies overhead and, as if powered by blood, like some undersea chthonic god, a blinking red fish moves in one long line along the lake and is gone. Thank you. All right, it's one of the titular misconnections with tall girls. It's about a bitch I know, and she is tall. It is called Ginger Christmas Princess 1. You've come to Canada for Christmas, lugging your big pink suitcase stuffed with more clothes than you need, because you love us and because your queer anarchist landlord evicted you. I told you this is the sort of thing I make up in my head to get mad at. I've been living, as Cynthia Cruz sees the working class artist, between 2 deaths. You've been working at Amazon. You moved back to Cleveland, found a new bedroom and used car battery. You rescued a pit bull named Ruby. Ruby takes Prozac. I didn't know dogs could take Prozac, I say, withholding my negative opinions of SSRIs because I don't know if they apply to dogs. And because it adds to your romance. Your ass in Walmart, yoga pants in Walmart, buying fat bags of kibble for your fucked up depressed dog. In the bathroom, you showed me a picture of your large cock and I felt sad. Vulnerable in your arc of abstinence, I think you wanted to give me a ribboned promise, a dick of the future. But it is enough to see you do your makeup in the blue light of the bathroom. It is enough to hear you bitch about the fake bi landlord and his fake bi wife. It is enough to lay the tinsel on the tree together, though in this house the tinsel is piercing LED string lights, and the tree is a cable antenna we wrenched off the roof when we moved in. The gifts, as is right, are booze and food, the star on top a taxidermied squirrel, ratty and dyed the colors of cotton candy, and look, isn't she holding in her wretched little rodent palm a sprig of mistletoe? Merry Christmas. Alright, I'm gonna read you 2 parts of a longer poem that's about how transsexuality is a virus infecting your children via grooming and stuff. It's called A Note on the Text. As is the case through all shit shoots of prehistory, before even the Crossy nuns atop Mount Ida gathered ahigowing at the fetish, a black meteor, Beital Beidal Hihi, which Mother Cybele raindropped upon them from the heavens. Yes, heavens even sex sick. Look how sweetly slow the moon is getting ate. It is the primary goal of the homosexual to imitate heterosexual reproduction through evangelism, dawa, etc. Ireland's last king to hold old pagan rites was slain by a poofter priest, whose lover laid his hand upon his head whilst he was ordained. Liturgy, like ticks, libidinal, overlays the realm with rituals of fraternity, a viral dance, hee hee. This hand you have laid upon a son of perdition will rot, declared a blessed man. Lo, it did. In the temporarily secular century, the homosexuals' tools recombinate, turning to human rights and services, first through Enlightenment liberal values. Whitman faggots America and jacks boy-fucking into fresh poetics. Leviticans emerge as turf war. There is a fascist sodomy etiquette. Faggots and their victims betwixt revolts rebuild old mothers. Gender trash, downcast, claim hell, as above so below, hee hee. AIDS virus colonizes bodies across spectra. Pugilist redundancy, hee hee. Hold close your lover. He withers of body. He persists in spirit. Then later, as algorithmic systems progress to libidinal takeover, through pornographic consumption, prostitution, the blurring of producer and consumer. All image is gay porn, so pretty pictures propagate new cock-caged ballerinas. All strong men make epochs appear as mere refractory periods. Nature, she, I met God, she's black, he, with songs of so much drooling fruit, tempts us back to her mud, with bug song chittering like chat. Twitch one glance at Hunter and you've lost. Felt for the meme, hee. Transsexuality, a ceremonial branding. Pharmaceutical hijacking of the flesh, inflicting papal pagan sex virus permanently within the endocrine system, the whole body becoming a chalice. All right, I got another one of those, and then one more poem for you. Thank you. In 2020, Canadian mining corporation Alamos Gold hacked clean 200,000 trees, 90 million USD for Erdogan, hee hee, from her big beautiful belly. Mount Ida, where Hermaphroditus was nursed by nymphs, bearing 90 million golden calves without a permit, where sweet geldings drank of mother's drum. Through an ideological victory, the Gali become trans women. By this same process of winning, their sacred ground becomes 90 million American dollars. In 2024, my Irish lover got his passport jacked by a grinder fuck. In the MoMA, we are struck by reflections of clouds on the water lily pond. More real than real, hee hee. He is like Shia boys I have known in his Catholicism. I rest on his chest, unable to kiss. I'm taken, I remind us both. Not for God, but for prostitution. Jesus, revolution. The sacred and the liberatory blur because they are both mystery, both struggle, both love. Every 6 months, it seems, God, she must snap and 10 new tits get bolted on. A new white tranny you hear is working for Lockheed. White monster cans, hee hee. You never meet these girls, who must be in basements of such great depths, 90 million USD neo-vagina, hee hee. Was that who sent the laser money? Those laser girls are so funny. Lululemon pants on, wielding death rays. Our enemies will claim the West has become homosexual. The truth is, of course, much worse. Homosexuality has become the West. This, the issue at hand. The doll gets grown in America. Loss/gain of function, hee. Yes, there are trannies always everywhere, Brazil, Iran, but our strongest groping muscle seems one possessed of NGO apparatuses. Hatches from 500 little years of death, leading the eating her origin. Her asshole is so pretty. I mumble all silly, while CIA-backed orgs give me awards. Penn International, hee hee. Yet love cannot be consumed by exchange value. Blessed are we to witness this heterogeneous rejection. Our coin purses cut, our temples destroyed, our children slaughtered. There is nothing to do but crouch and receive God's wrath. Hold close your lambs. The good news is always the same. Love wins. Thanks. All right. I got one more. It's called Brasserie Beaubien. It is about a bar in Montreal, and you should go there. It's a good bar, and there's some trannies who hang out there. The bartender signed my reading copy. His name's Mike with 2 eyes. He's cute. Dykes, fuck me now! Someone sharpied on the wall. Lana Del Rey on an American flag. The light is dim. Pretty girls smiling with their jaws in the shadows. 16 or so dolls in from the snow, shoving together tables, spilling Le Fin de Monde all over. Plucking at Chew's universal asshole, gussying up for the takedown. A cider, thanks. Makeup tips, no, not really, not often, we don't discuss. But compliments on all of it, yes. Raving, working in a mention of my micro-famous friends. Laura's new taxidermy raccoon she's brought in a Provigo bag. Judith recounting Ministère de la Famille's newest bile. The bartender, egg or out? Or Jeanne has written some new theory. Me denouncing theory, as always, as a poet. Winking. Asshole universal. Drunk in the bathroom, scrawling, faggot is one, future of many. Ali wearing candy bracelets. It says HSTS, AGP, HSTS, AGP, HSTS, AGP, HSTS, AGP, like a marquee. Another saying faggot again. Another saying cat girl versus puppy girl. The post-pandemic generational rug pull. The older woman, quiet punk 45. I feel bad for not really talking to her. A cheaper beer now, fuck it. Vitig put on her newsboy cap and said we're all dykes at the end of the earth anyways. It's not even women, men. A third thing, do I want some ket? No thank you, dear. Laura and I bruise each other in the bathroom, flirting with oblivion. Rebecca, this reminds me, I want to get some Vyvanse off you. Are you ADHD? Some girl asks me. Like, she's never heard of doing fucking drugs before. Anyways, Rebecca's off about Lacan again. Babe, I don't think these girls here are lacking exactly. Winking at anyone now. Beers and beers. Canucked up accents come out to play compare. Nana Day Alberta recounting her pastor's thick one. The asshole universal, or some such substack. This is what a blog was called in the era of short form video. A struggling girl with adorable hair, tripping over her overall strap somehow. A pile of dolls sloshing in the hardwood bar of Franco Beaubien. A hipster dive bar that's really, for once, a dive bar. The kind they got back home and somehow here. Here at the end of all cheap rent. Here as the jukebox is loaded with quarters. Here as the Anglo girls leave and I listen to the sounds of language. Le fille wanders dans le door. Le port, sorry, I'm headed to Station Peel to Le Plateau. Mille Plateau. Le go est dans sa merde again. The bastard. Calice, Calice, Calice. Praise be the tenants organization. Praise be the dernier recours. Praise be the lease transfer. That precious oral contract of all horrible tenants. Praise be the tongues which make them, wet and dancing in the plateau, that little O mouth of God, stuck to municipal poles in the cold dead heaven before us, waggling mid-holler at hockey kids on the old blue $5 bill, slopping on the long steeples on all street corners, the tongue of the dolls like the tongue of all God's people, starving in the street, licking at the ice at their feet, delirious with need for syrup, friction, heat, anywhere which is loud and warm and which will hold them from now till the hour of their death. 16 or so dolls piled together. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I have heard Gwen read that poem a few times, and every single time I'm like, "This is my favorite song." It feels like the part of the Mountain Goats show where John Darnielle sings the song about the teenagers. Okay, you guys didn't know what that meant. That's okay. We're all just really happy. Thank you guys all so much for coming tonight. I'm going to release you off into the evening. Please come back to Poets House anytime. We'd love to have you.